guys, welcome to a Wednesday video on Beauty and the Beast retellings. I was going to say the best of, but I kind of went through the best of and ones that were mediocre and the worst of. And there are no less than 1, 2, 3 of my cats in here with me right now, so I don't know if you will see them at all. Let's see if we can get Cheza. Oh, she's on the... Cheza's over there on the chair. The little one is... Whoops. There he is. Ravidi's over there, and there's one sitting behind the camera right now as well. So I have a lot of helpers, which is why the door is open. Anyways, I know I've talked about this post quite a bit, and it was one that took me quite a bit to go through, because as I started going through all the books I have been reading, I just realized there's a lot of Beauty and Beast retellings out there, and a lot of them. And I'm just going to flat up say I'm using my laptop here because I was going to print it out and use it as reference, but it's like 5 pages long. So I'm going to start going through them, and I'll try not to make it too long. So I did sort these by ones I loved, ones that I liked, and ones that were not so great, but okay. I really like this fairy tale. I think there's a lot of flexibility to it and a lot of history behind it. And so with that, I'll just start going through it. So the first one I read actually quite a while ago, which a lot of people probably don't realize is sort of a Beauty and the Beast retelling, is Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson. This is one where a man gets horribly burned in a car crash. He's kind of a jerk, and he gets horribly burned in a car crash, but then he meets this beautiful artist who carves gargoyles, who it basically says they're destined to be together. She thinks they were lovers in a former life, and you get flashbacks to Marion is the woman name, and like her history as like a nun in a monastery. I think I read this a really long time ago, but it was a really well written book, and it was really interesting. And there's a lot of psychology in here about, like, you know, both she's making monsters because she carves gargoyles, and he kind of looks monstrous now because of the severe burn injuries he had, and she's very beautiful, but she has some really deep mental issues as well that makes her kind of a monster too. So there's a very interesting, like, Beauty and the Beast type of vibe to it, but it's a little bit more of a stretch rather than a straight up retelling, but it was really, really good. And also very adult, so that one is more adult. All right, so to get into more of a kind of traditional Beauty and the Beast retelling, the Darkest London series by Kristen Callahan is a great one. The first one in it, Firelight, is very much a Beauty and Beast retelling. It's a historical Victorian romance where a young woman with fire elemental powers ends up being sold off to a mentally unstable nobleman who he's got some pretty big issues of her own. He suffers this weird magical affliction, and they kind of go through trying to solve that. But really good. It was my favorite book in that series. It has a little bit of Phantom of the Opera vibe to it too, and some people would say that Phantom of the Opera is also kind of a spin-off of Beauty and the Beast retellings. And I apologize if this is like too much information, but there's a lot of the folk tales and stories are kind of tied together, of course, right? Because they all have similar history. So Firelight, some people will tell you it's a family opera type of retelling, but a lot of people will also tell you it's Beauty and the Beast retelling. And if you like kind of steampunk romance, it's not really steampunk, but it feels a little bit like it because it's magic and it's set in Victorian times in London. That's a very good one. All right, the next one I wanted to talk about is Dark Triumph, which is His Fair Assassin Book 2 by Robin McKinley. This was a pretty popular series. I think it ended up being a trilogy. It's historical fantasy. It's about female assassins. This book in particular follows a character from the series named Sibella, and she ends up becoming an assassin after she goes through a whole bunch of really bad stuff with her father. She actually rescues a man called the Beast of Warlock, who kind of embraces her vicious assassin nature and helps her on her missions. So it's a little bit of a like reverse Beauty and the Beast, and Sibella's, and again, one of these things where is Sibella the beauty because she's so beautiful, or is she the beast because she's incredibly vicious and she's an assassin? And same with the Beast. Like, he obviously looks like a beast, but he's very kind to her. So like, kind of one of these swap things. It's a very good book, and it's very well written, and it's just very good historical fantasy. All right, another steampunk. There's like seem to be like a lot of steampunk Victorian Beauty and the Beast retellings. Is Beauty and the Clockwork Beast, which is the first book in the steampunk proper romance series by Nancy Campbell Allen. This was really fun. It's very got paranormal vibes to it, so you get a blend of vampire, shapeshifters, ghosts in a steampunk Victorian setting. In this case, the beast happens to be a werewolf, but again, very much a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. So really good. The next one is a pretty popular young adult epic fantasy type of series, and that is A Curse So Dark and Lovely by Bridget Kemmerer. This is a fantasy retelling of Beauty and the Beast, but it's more epic fantasy in style, and this is the first book in a trilogy. So the echoes of fantasy of Beauty and the Beast are probably most prevalent in the first book, and then the rest of the trilogy kind of ties things up, but it is a theme that carries out throughout the whole trilogy. All right. One that surprised me that I really, really loved is one called Beastkeeper by Kat Hellison. This is kind of a beautiful but like slightly melancholy young adult Beauty and the Beast retelling. It's got some very creative twists and I really enjoyed it. And if you haven't read books by Kat Hellison, she's got a very unique and lyrical writing style. And I really love this book, so I would recommend it. One that is... I really liked it at the time, but I haven't been a big fan of this author's other books, and that is Beastly by Alex Flynn. This is kind of a modern day Beauty and the Beast, but it's told from the Beast point of view. The writing style is a bit sloppy, but I thought the way everything wrapped up was really clever, and I ended up just really enjoying it. So it's one that I look back and I think, oh, really? Why did I give that? I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, but it was just a really fun Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it kind of had a nice twist to it. All right, so the next one, and again, there's a few in here that are actually retellings of East of the Sun and West of the Moon, but East of the Sun and West of the Moon is kind of a Norwegian version of the Beauty and the Beast story. So you'll hear some of that in here. Again, these fairy tales kind of go across different regions, and East of the Sun and West of the Moon is a very Norwegian or like Northern Arctic type of take on the Beauty and the Beast story. And this one I'm going to talk about next was probably my favorite on this whole list, and that is Echo North by Joanna Ruth Meyer. As I said, retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon, but has a lot of Beauty and the Beast elements in it because those are very similar folktales, and a little bit of Tamlin in there as well. It was just an amazing blend of these fairy tales and folk tales together, and there was some really great adventure and some really cool magical elements in the stories. There's like magical houses and enchanted mirrors and that let you go into books and crazy forests and all this stuff. It was just a beautiful like fantasy adventure retelling of Beauty and the Beast that I think, when I think back to it, I just love that one so much, and I have actually read it twice, which is pretty unusual for me, so I would definitely recommend that. And that, there's a lot of good ones coming up here. I'll follow that up with probably my second favorite Beauty and the Beast retelling, and that is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is more themed, like kind of a Beauty and the Beast theme to it. It's about a girl that gets into a tower to train under this draconic mage, and it's got some amazing magic in it, and I just really like kind of the classical like wizard adventure fantasy themes to it. Very well written. Again, another very popular book, but I would really recommend it if you like fantasy and you like Beauty and the Beast. All right, so another, probably my third favorite one on the list, which is completely different from all the other ones, and that is Scarlet, which is the second book in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer. Now, I wouldn't recommend reading this as a standalone, since all those books are pretty tied together, but they do feature different characters. And this is a science fiction, young adult story filled with a lot of steampunk elements, and this one happens to be about Scarlet, who ends up dealing with a man who's basically like the Beast, and very well done. The whole series is very well done, very imaginative, and very engaging. So I really love that. All right, so like back to more of an Arabian theme. Now, not back to, I guess, over to Arabia, a different part of the world. The Wrath and the Dawn. The Wrath and the Dawn, book 1 by Renée Ahdieh, is a very good Beauty and the Beast retelling. This does have a bit of an Arabian Nights twist to it, but it's got some really good magic. it was impossible to put down. There's a lot of humor in it, and it's got that very exotic feel to it if you are into that. All right, so those are the first 11 on the list that I really, really liked. Now that I loved, I would say I really loved. Now I'm going to go into the ones that I liked. And top on the one I like is actually the original Beauty and the Beast by Jeanne-Marie Le Prince de Beaumonte. And this is the original folktale. And if you haven't read it, it's very good. I mean, you can see where Disney got most of their elements for the movie. It is a very good story, and I would definitely recommend getting the original classic and reading it. And I feel like it should be included on this list, even though it's not a retelling, it's the actual story, but it's worth talking about. All right, the next one is another like steampunk Beauty and the Beast retelling. And again, I don't really know what the attraction is with authors in rewriting fairy tales in a steampunk way, but it works for me because I like both things a lot, so I tend to read those. This one is Beauty and Beastly, which is part of the Steampunk Fairy Tales series. It's book 3 in that series by Melanie Karsak. I did give this 4 out of 5 stars. It was just a fun steampunk story. It was a great Beauty and the Beast retelling. It blends the original Beauty and Beast story by Le Prince de Beaumont with some Disney elements. So from the classical like Beauty and the Beast animated Disney thing. It was predictable, but I just really enjoyed it. It was fun and a good read. All right, the next one is more of a contemporary fiction one, and that is Bookish and the Beast by Ashley Poston. This is the 3rd book in the Once Upon a Con series. Again, this is a series where the story does continue, but it features different sets of characters. So you could read it as a standalone, or you could read it as part of the series. This is a young adult romantic comedy about a book-loving girl and kind of a brooding bad boy who's a science fiction star. And he comes to spend the summer in a house she works in, and of course they fall in love. And this was kind of unique because it's got, like, he's very beastly in his acts, and she's a very beautiful type of person, like in how caring she is and stuff. And it's the twist to it that sets it a little bit apart from normal young adult contemporary romance is it's got a lot of geeky stuff in it because they go to all these cons and they're big science fiction fans and all this. So it was just kind of a cute, fun read. All right, and then we have 2 books by Robin McKinley, which I need to mention because she has done 2 Beauty and the Beast retellings. The first one is Beauty. It was very beautiful written. It's a complete just version of the original story. It's very predictable. There was an elaboration on there. It was just a very beautifully done retelling of the original Beauty and the Beast story. The ending did feel a little bit rushed on this one, but it was well done. She also wrote Rose Daughter, which is another Beauty and the Beast retelling. And again, I read this one when I was like 12 or 13, so I don't have a linked review below to it, and I can't even remember much about it, but I know I really liked it, so I said it was 4 out of 5 stars. All right, the next one on the list of ones I like is a very popular series, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I read the 3 books in the series. I did not read I think there's like a 4th book or a 5th, maybe even a 5th book because she kind of like started it up again. I really love this series. It's a blend of Tamlin and Beauty and the Beast kind of together. It's a full epic fantasy type of story with some strong romance threads in there, but also a lot of politics and intrigue and action and adventure. I absolutely love the first 2 books in this trilogy, but didn't really like the 3rd one. I thought it was kind of disappointing, and I did not read the spin-off books after that. So Sarah J. Maas started out as an author. Like, I absolutely loved the 2 series she was writing, and then as she just kept going, her books just kept getting really long, and the plot didn't seem to be going anywhere. It's like she went from writing kind of fun young adult epic fantasy novel to these like huge complex epics that just weren't going anywhere. So anyways. But I really did like the first 2 books, and the 3rd book in the trilogy ties everything up decently, so it's a good series to read if you're interested in that. All right, this is kind of a different one. Francesca Leah Block wrote a collection of fairy tales called The Rose and the Beast, and it's not just Beauty and the Beast in here, but there's it's a collection of a lot of little fairy tale retellings. There are a couple of Beauty and the Beast retellings included in that collection. One was a bit disturbing and involved like sex trafficking and stuff, so heads up, but I thought it was very creative how she like took that scenario and made it into a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And the other one had kind of a fun twist to it too, where Beauty actually would rather be the Beast. And so that was kind of a fun little retelling too. All right, so 19th overall, but on the books I liked, is another story collection, and that is the story collection called Grimm. And this was a story collection by Ellen Hopkins, Julie Kagawa, Amanda Hockey, Claudia Gray, Rachel Hawkins, Christine Johnson. There are a few Beauty and the Beast retellings in here as well, but again, there's lots of other fairy tale retellings as too. I really enjoyed the one by Sarah Reese Breening called Beauty and Chad. It was just like super cute. There were a couple other Beauty and Beast retellings in there too, which I didn't enjoy as much, but that one was just like super funny. All right, so getting into something more adult, The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter. I would be very remiss if I didn't mention this in fairy tale retelling collections. This is a very, very adult collection of fairy tale retellings, and pretty much like on the horror end of the spectrum. It is written in beautiful, complex, flowery language, but has very jarringly vulgar scenes in it as well, like horrific scenes in it. So it's an interesting read. It's the contrast between like the beautiful descriptions and the very ugly things happening in the stories is very different, and I don't regret reading it. It's uncomfortable to read if you don't like reading about a lot of violent, gory stuff. But it was, I liked it. I thought it was very different. I thought it was very well done. All right, another east of the, I always forget if it's east or west, but another one of those. I've tried to go up and like figure out here which one that was. Anyways, east of the sun, west of the moon type of thing, is the book Ice by Sarah Beth Durst. And this is about a polar bear researcher that ends up involved with the polar bear king. So again, it's a girl who's, gets sent off to the polar bear king, and there's wonderful mythology here. And it was kind of fun that they modernized it by having, like her job as a researcher ends up tying up with the curse that she gets stuck in with the polar bear king. It just all blended in really, really nicely, and I kind of like the Arctic setting. And it's another one I gave 4 out of 5 stars, and I really enjoyed it. All right, another East of the Sun, West of the Moon retelling, Sun and Moon, Ice and Snow by Jessica Day George. Again, a very popular retelling, and again, East of the Sun, West of the Moon is kind of more of a Norwegian version of Beauty and the Beast, which is French. And I really enjoyed this. This is just a very classic fairy tale retelling of East of the Sun, West of the Moon. At the time when I read it, I hadn't read a lot of that kind of variation of the Beauty and Beast story, and I really enjoyed it. All right, now we'll go on to, we're up to 22 Beauty and the Beast retellings. I think I have like 10 more or something. Ones that were okay, they weren't great. I didn't hate them because I tend to just like the variations of the story, but I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, go out and read these. All right, the first one I gave 3.5 stars, and that is Cruel Beauty by Rosamund Hodge. This is like a Greco-Roman Beauty and the Beast retelling. There's a lot of references to mythology throughout. It is kind of a twisty story about like who is actually the beast. Is it the beautiful woman or is it the beastly guy kind of thing, right? I just thought it was super predictable and it was boring. It was just so dull at points, and I just didn't want to continue. All right, the next one on that list. Oh, I lied. There's only 3 more. Not 10. I'm exaggerating in my own mind. It just felt like 10 when I was collecting all this data together. All right, so 24th on the overall list is A Happily Ever After of Her Own, which is first in the Ever After series by Nadia Lee. This was okay. It's a shorter book, probably more novella length. It's about a woman who can dream herself into fairy tales, and in this case, she dreams herself into a Beauty and the Beast fairy tale and has to deal with all of that. It was really short, and it's kind of cute and fun, but there just wasn't much there for me, so I thought it was okay. And then the last one on the list is Winter Song by S.J. Jones. Again, I gave this one 3.5 out of 5, and this is it reminded me more of Labyrinth, which I guess if you think about it, also has kind of a Beauty and the Beast spin to it. Like the movie Labyrinth, like Jim Henson's Labyrinth. So this is a very like Goblin King themed type of story where there's a Goblin King, and like this beautiful woman gets sent to live with him, and that's kind of the Beauty and the Beast element. There's also a lot about music and discussion of music and music theory in here. In general, for me, the story was a bit too rambling. It just took a long time the plot was kind of And I guess the one thing I can say was beautifully written. There's a lot of beautiful description in their stuff, but it was just too rambly, too long. It didn't really get to the point, and I didn't think it was that great. So there you go. This is a long video, and I apologize for that. But if it's any consolation, it probably took me 3 times longer to find all of these books I had read and all the reviews for them and get them all organized into some sort of fashion and make sure that all of these actually were Beauty and the Beast types of retellings, and I wasn't just like putting that into my review because I was crazy or something. So there you go. 25 Beauty and the Beast retellings, varying from ones I loved and ones I thought were okay. If you like Beauty and the Beast, hopefully you'll find some retellings on here that you're really interested in. If not, I hope you didn't watch this whole video. I happen to really like that fairy tale, and I like some of the permutations of it that I've read. So anyways, that's that. Thank you for joining me. And, you know, again, if you have Beauty and the Beast retellings you have read, I know there's a million more out there. I probably barely even scratched the surface talking about these 25 books. Please leave the titles of the books below and comment. I love to read that kind of thing. And I will talk to you on Saturday for Stacking the Shelves. I hope you have a great week of reading. And I usually post videos on Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesday is usually something different. Saturday is almost always a Stocking the Shelves. I do miss Wednesdays, so don't get angry if I miss a Wednesday, because I just am a very busy person with a very busy job and a family and everything else going on, and I really don't make any money off of this YouTube stuff I do. So if you do like the video, give me a thumbs up or consider subscribing, and have a great week of reading, and I will talk to you later. Bye.